Hello there, battle brothers and sisters. In this series, we will talk about the different technologies in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. After explaining each one with some depth, we'll review how close we are in development and in real-world application to achieving something similar. We will look at advances and limitations that bring us closer to or even farther from these technologies. With that being said, let us begin. The first technology we will analyze is power armor. Power armor is one of the most iconic pieces of technology in the entire setting, and it is particularly associated with the Space Marines. It matters because it helps the already incredible resilient Space Marines reach their full potential. Power armor is a full body suit, and it doesn't just protect against physical impact from projectiles or energy weapons, as you might assume at first glance. Some of its additions include Mechanicus for basic wound care and pain suppressors. It also adds auto senses, a kind of augmented reality that lets the wearer interact with that they're seeing. Another addition is the muscle system built into the ammo and linked to the user. The ammo has electromechanical actuators acting as muscles, which allow agile movement. Without them, the ammo would be heavy and cumbersome to move in. Generally, power armor is covered in ceramide, which grants high resistance against all kinds of adversity, especially in battle. Power armor includes many more aspects: auto filters, anti-venom systems, communication, stimulants, and a host of other systems that we will explain across this series of videos. Power armor at the same time can actually accept modus. For example, a jump pad can be attached if the wearer wants. This allows quick modification to the ammo in the heat of the battle without taking the status out of the action for too long. There are multiple versions of power armor. The most widely used today is Mark X. Many models branch off from the Mark X. We will cover those in future videos. For now, we will deal with the base armor. For the moment, we will focus on one aspect of the power armor: mobility. Given the armor's bulk and weight, you might infer that it must move awkwardly. Hard to maneuver, slow to walk in, with no stealth at all. Inertia should have its way. And actually, that would be true for any human being. However, that's not the case when the wearer is a Space Marine. How does a Space Marine avoid these limitations? These are the two technologies we will analyze in today's video. Have you ever noticed in Space Marine artwork certain bumps emerging from their skin? These are some of the visible aspects of the Black Carapace. This is the first of the two technologies, the Black Carapace. We could define it as a kind of neural interface that transmits local muscular signals to a third party, and that third party being a key component of the power armor itself. This key component is what we will call the servo-motors. The servo-motors are in the power armor and receive signals from the Black Carapace. It is important to say that it is very different to order a machine to move by thought than it is to move naturally by moving a part of the body. The latter is what a Space Marine does. He simply moves, and the Black Carapace together with the servo motors make the armor move in unison. The joint work of these two devices mirrors how the conventional human body moves: a coordinated effort between the nervous system, muscles, and skeletal system. Without the control that the muscles exert over the whole system, this is your whole body, movement would be heavy, abrupt, and slow. This is just the same for a power armor. But let us get to the main question we will ask throughout this series. Can we develop these technologies today? Neural interfaces exist, and of course, motors do the same. So let us start with neural interfaces. But first, let us ask a question. Would you prefer a car that drives itself or one you drive with your thoughts? Neural interfaces aren't adapted to everyday human life, and beyond that, why would we? Technology responds to human needs, and today it seems humanity prefers autonomous machines instead of machines controlled by thought or your nerves. This comes down to economics, job ethics, and the already high capacity of machines to transmit and process information if we compare them with a regular human being. But let us think beyond task simplification and look for applications. An obvious one is medical practice, where this could help to restore motor function lost due to accidents. Another application would be recreation, enabling remote interaction between human beings and or with their environment. Now, our neural interfaces differ in significant ways from the Black Carapace. First difference is that the Black Carapace is distributed entirely beneath the Space Marine's skin. This matters for fine motor skills. Why, you may ask? The transmission speed of electrical impulses through nerves may be fast, but it isn't infinite. So, we must ensure that servomotors receive signals at the same time the muscles do. The only way to ensure this precisely, hence, to achieve fine motor requirement, is for the neural interface to be distributed throughout the body, so the command from the brain to contract or extend a muscle reaches the muscle and the power armor simultaneously. Fine control isn't optional, it comes into play in posture, aiming, force estimation, jumping, running, etc. Without fine motor control, the aesthetics would be the equivalent of a medieval suit armor, imprecise movement and limited interaction with the environment. As of today, this can be done, both for ethical reasons and because we lack the tools and knowledge to achieve neural integration at this scale. Another issue is maintenance. Interacting with the Black Carapace for repairs, upgrade, or fault correction would be extremely complex. Moreover, due to the longevity of the Space Marines, it is likely their carapace require very little maintenance. With current human technology, we can build machines that do 1,000 years without intervention. Self-repairing machines are under research, but they don't seem imminent. As for servo-motors, there isn't much to say about a single motor itself. Precision motors already exist and are generally powered by DC electricity. With them, we could replicate muscle contraction or extension, fast or slow. But there are issues. One is density. These motors would have to form the equivalent of a muscle. Density matters because, as in your body, if one of your muscle cells were to fail for some reason, your muscle will still function. To do the same with servomotors, we would need high density in each muscle equivalent component. That is, we would need a kind of motor tissue, not a single motor, thus gaining redundancy against failures. Without redundancy, we would depend on a single motor, catastrophic if it fails or is damaged. Developing a mechanical tissue is a titanic task which hasn't been seen in real life. From this density requirement arises another problem: synchronized operation. If we have a great quantity of motors working together but not in synchronization, they might even halt the movement. A motor tissue must be capable of working in synchrony toward a single goal, following the aesthetics movement. We have, as humanity, implemented control systems that work just as this. An example is our cars. And on a bigger scale, in electrical transmission systems, where many machines named generators are sometimes referred as synchronous generators, must operate in a certain synchrony to produce the voltage in our homes. However, those devices are low density and relatively few compared to what a muscle would require. Then, the challenge isn't only to make motors smaller, but also to make them work synchronized. This combination of motor density and control hasn't yet been realized in the world. With all this explained, let us offer a conclusion about the mobility system of a power armor. Our realistic conclusion is that humanity has the components needed to build the technology. Servomotors, though not yet at the required density, and neural interfaces, though not yet close enough to the nerves. We have all the components, but we don't have the technology to integrate them in the way shown in Warhammer. However, this seems to be due to diverging interests between what humanity seeks today and what it could achieve. That is, if humanity set itself the goal, I see it as extremely possible because what remains is integration. The components already exist. To compare the technologies at the end, we will use two scales. Application scale from -10 to 10. This scale measures, regardless of feasibility, how useful or transformative a technology would be. We will give -10 to something entirely opposed to humanity's interests, a 0 to something that solves current problems, and a 10 to something that will lead us into a golden age. Feasibility doesn't matter on this scale. Plausibility is irrelevant here. That belongs to the next scale. The technological scale runs from 0 to 10. Here, 10 is a technology practically inconceivable today. 0 is obsolete technology, and 5 represents cutting-edge technology right now. By way of example, I give a Dyson Sphere a 9, not a 10. Why, you may ask? Because 10 is reserved for concepts that are not even conceivable today. Perhaps 100 years from now, people might view Dyson Spheres as archaic technology, pointless, a waste of resources, if by then we are extracting energy from, you just say, like gravitational waves. That's why a Dyson Sphere is a 9. It's a concept grounded in our current technological state. Where the Black Carapace and servo-motors arrange as muscles like tissue, land at these scales. On the application scale, I give the combination a 0. As for the Black Carapace, they would be useful for significant medical situations as for entertainment. I'd also give servo-motors arranged as muscle tissue a 0, since they could help with relevant everyday tasks, like applying force at a millimetric level, which has applications in combating diseases, bacteria, and so on. At first, these technologies together are highly applicable. They wouldn't make life unrecognizable for most of humanity. They wouldn't, by themselves, create a golden age. For the technological scale, first, neural interfaces similar to the Black Carapace are relatively close to certain current interfaces, so I will leave them a 6. It seems what remains are specific challenges, some technological and some ethical. Still, it's a technology whose concept is entirely imaginable, so it doesn't represent a huge leap by itself, thus a 6. As for servo-motors, again, not much to say about a single motor, but woven together as a synthetic tissue, they will require advances in nanotechnology to reach a density comparable to muscle cells. This could let us replace cardiac tissue, potentially eradicating one of the greatest elements afflicting humanity worldwide. Not only that, machines could self-interact in ways with consequences I can fully envision, approaching something akin to life itself. I give this an 8 on the technological scale. If we average the technological scale, we get a 7. That is, advanced technology rooted in current concepts, but requiring considerable refinement before it is possible. And that's the end of the first video. I hope you like it. Subscribe to continue with this analysis in the near future.